I am Farid Abdulbaki. I am a Syrian artist. I study art in Damascus University, graduate in 2000. After that, I start, I cannot say exactly I start from that time because my father was a sculptor and I start art so aerial that, I wake up in this life with color and mass and, lines. So, I start as a sculpture and painting, but I get in love with ceramic art to create more ceramic art, wall art, and so about very special stuff like micro mosaic and gemstone sculpture, something like this, and something I make sculpture from inside. And I work for so many museums around the world, and I teach around in many universities, and I was work for some universities for student and project and many stuff about art, especially sculpturing and ceramic and micro mosaic. When the war start, in Syria, we skip very early because in war there is no winner. In my philosophy, I lose my father, he was killed, and from my philosophy, there is no winner, and there is no benefit to stay in somewhere you will see only suffering, because all the window will show you the destroyed stuff. So we guess it's just like 2-3 months and it will finish, but it's getting longer and longer, and we went without any preparation, to be, we never think, me and my family, we never think that to be a refugee or to be homeless or whatever, I come from good situation family. We have, like I told you, my father was an artist, and we have some fabric for ceramic in Syria, city of Homs, But after that, I start to move. First, we say we will stay in Damascus for a month because it was very bad situation in Homs. And maybe if you hear from the news, Homs was the first city was being destroyed in the war. So after that, the war started to ignition in Damascus. So I went to Beirut and then to Tripoli, and then I was not comfortable in Beirut. It was not healthy situation for me as a Syrian, and they treat you like about some religion stuff, where are you come or whatever, so they don't want to understand that you don't care about where you come from or what's happened, what I mean, they judge me about like family name or where city come from, and then they evaluate me. So I just go to Saudi and follow from there, I go to Istanbul. In Saudi, I was work for Masmak Museum, and if you work for museums, there is big people like many people to evaluate my work and judge it if it's pass or not. So I do a lot of replica for the Masmak Museum and ceramic work and a lot of what you call it, replica, and then I have to move from Saudi because of my wife was pregnant, and I have no passport and I cannot renew it because there is no embassy, and they never renew it for me. And then I found myself I have to leave soon to Istanbul. Before Istanbul, it was a little bit journey for me, and then after 3 months, I was in Istanbul to start my art again. And many people heard about my name in ceramic. I am, I have a name in ceramic and micro mosaic and sculpturing. So I found some people who know me and opens the atelier for me, and then I start to teach art, and create some statues for scenography, for some theater, and I was commissioned, and I have two exhibition which covered by TRT TV in Istanbul, in Jikami, in the it means Republic Culture Center in East Istanbul, and I have duo exhibition in Green Park Hotel, and I have to work in for hotel and jewelries, and but my daughter she was not able to take any health support because she is Syrian, and then as a father, it's for me, a daughter, it's very important. It's more than anything, and more than my career or over my everything. She's just newborn. She was in a months, and she has hydrocephalic, and I have to leave to any country who treat her good. And then I travel. We call it this journey, and I go to be a refugee in Germany, but unfortunately I get only temporary protect. And in that time there is a lot of refugee coming, and it was very hard to get a place, so I have sleep with 300 person in one room or sport hall. I call it big salon, but it's just to make it funny stuff. But it was 300 person. They are not happy to be together, because sometimes they could be enemy, somebody from there, and an enemy from many way. I don't want to talk about religion enemy or something, but they are real enemy, and I cannot even sleep there. So I start to get out in the snow time from early in the morning until the end of night. And I was in university, because I want to, I start to give some workshop for micro mosaic in Udica, which is a very famous university in Berlin. And then I meet a Victorian artist. She is Ira, and she was so talented about color theory, and I start to think after she talk about color, and she inspired me to go back to painting, but it was very big challenge to start painting with 300 person, and also as my collector for micro mosaic and sculpture, it was very hard to create some aquarelle for them. It's not easy for them to see me in somehow. They judge. I'm not judging, but they judge. So even somebody often me, and they don't talk because I go to aquarelle, but I do it for myself. I want to heal myself. So what I will say to you, I was in big challenge to start with 300 person. So I take my decision, and I start, as you see, the Fishes series, because it's very difficult to be artist in Berlin, because what I know from my humble knowledge, if maybe I could wrong, I only know that there is 80,000 record artists in Berlin. And to start with this big amount of artists, you will go to our gallery, and they will say to you, contact us by email, and you will write, and nobody answer, because they are really received for 2 years or 3 years already. So I start, as I told you, I was inspired from Ira palette, and I start because she used in that time a lot of mangan blue and pink. So I start to put hair color everywhere about my work. And before I call myself like a philosopher artist, because I want to tell a scenario or to tell a message through my work. But it's very heavy story, like if you see here in the series, losing individuality after Levi Strauss and Heidegger and Michel Foucault, and I make it with pink, and in that time I call it ice cream time, and just I would like to eat this color, and it's and I adopt like a fish, because fish for me is a woman, and I am very feminist artist, and I support the feminine society. As a human being, we start our society like a kingdom cities, which was ruling from queens, or we call it matriarch system, when the woman was ruling. And if you go back to Sumerian, you will, or Ashurian or Syrian, you will see Ishtarot as a god, as a worship god, or Venus, or all these gods. It was a woman. But after that, we start to see the sun and the lion as a masculine symbol. Follow from there, all the war start, all the bad stuff start. So I was dreamed to be in feminine society again, like what I guess women more calm, they will never fight and kill children, I guess most of them will never do this, so I was thinking a lot about that, so I adopt the fish as a feminine symbol, and it was very lucky for me to be in the artist body in Berlin, to have a mini exhibition, and to get attention, because I use a very special style, my own style, and very and it start to be very famous. Everybody start to paint fish and stuff. So after that, I start to be in mini art show, like Give Me Five in Casalon, and Willy in Tabir Gallery, and in many art show. And I have last exhibition in Berlin with Christian. She's a German artist. It was in Schöneberg, very nice show. So I start to I first it was very hard to me. I found myself as a refugee, and I live from €100, and it was very hard to find a color. So I use an instant cafe, Nescafe, and I start to create art to show my painting, and I use my double bed to be like my first gallery, and I use the social media to talk to people and talk to collectors, and they say to me, I want this, and I start to have money for color, for paper, and sometimes to support the family. And it's not so much, and sometimes it's more than nothing. It's better than nothing. So I start, to create, like for example, this series you see here. I call it the Depression series. I was a very well-known artist, and I found myself with 300 person somewhere. I don't blame anybody to be there. It was my choice, but also I cannot create any art. So I was, after this, I call it depression and the black wishes, because what that means. If you are in depression, the only wish you want to suicide yourself. That's why I call it, the black wishes. And I make, 3 years on border, 1 year on border, and 2 years in border. If you see there, you will, first the umbrella for me, it was like a house. In my mind, in first year, I still think to go back to Syria, to my homeland. And I still have my black memories, like they kill my father or whatever, so, or I lose my father. And in the second year, you will start to has clean memory. The faces and will start to fly from your memory, and your umbrella will get a lot of holes because you will understand and aware that you has no home and no ceiling and no house or whatever. Third year, you will start to careless about what's happened or what's the next. You just became like a pepper on the ocean leaf, surface, like just a leaf of pepper, like on the ocean of the surface of ocean. So you just wait to the next wave to put you in somewhere. So I read a lot of before the war and after the war, and while I was refugee, it was time to read a lot about philosophy. I am so interested in philosophy. So like the painting there, it's after I call it Adam Appel and Nietzsche. It's after Nietzsche grow. They call it in Germany Bescheid, Abscheid, goodbye. So it was very, very deep meaning for me. And if you see the Python, I call it the illusion of power. The illusion of power, it's after Michel Foucault, and it was a challenge for me to paint power and to show its illusion, because it's a Python and he presents aggressive power with muscles, with something you cannot talk, only aggressive, and he want to hug. But I put him in a snow to show this, which power is real here. Did the ice and the natural is more powerful, or the Python itself, So I guess both of them it's not real, because ideology behind the power, it's a power. And that's why I say after Michel Foucault, because he teach me how to understand the speech as a tools of power. And the power there is something, it's something you cannot own it or you put it in your pocket. So I draw this, and I draw many cities I have visited through my journey, like Berlin and in Vienna, and in Venice, and Prague and Greece, and sometimes in Turkey, and sometimes in Potsdam, my favorite area in Berlin, because I guess the modern history was made there. So that's why I visit a lot and I go there a lot. And I sometimes I go with a friend who was like delivering bread, or what you call it. He just give a bread from city to other city. So I go with him in the morning, like 4 o'clock, to just be away from camp, and I travel with him for sometimes for Luxembourg or Salzburg, and I take off and I start to bend very quickly, and when he come back after 2-3 hours, he pick me and I back to Berlin or somewhere, and sometimes I spend hours and hours with him, just to sense the space and the cities and the area, just to be out of the refugee camp. So that's my but when people ask me, I say I am sculptor, and I work for many museums, and I have one of my work in Bode Museum in 2016, and many of my work in Masmak, and I was teaching in university for micro mosaic, and I was teaching in institution, Verein, they call it, in Germany for aquarelle. I have a big class there, but it was not possible for me without sponsor to create art with clay and bronze and on stone. So I am that type of people who want to feel positive and don't say I cannot do this and looking for the excuse. I just would like to show that I would love to start, not waiting for something maybe it's never come. So I was lucky to meet Errant Hofiker, and she create a sponsor group for me because I was stuck in Berlin under the temporary shoots. They call it subsidiary shoots, temporary protect. And follow from there, I cannot bring my family to Berlin, and I cannot go back to Turkey. So she created sponsor group, and she bring my family here last year, and I was here in this year. And I would love to thank my sponsor group, especially Jean Campo, the woman who helped me with Errant to create my first exhibition in Victoria. And I would love to thank Matthias Hofiker and my wife, because she's a hero, and she moved with 3 children, and she take care about them. And I would love to thank Canada to give me this chance to be in with my family again. Thank you so much.